Do you have people asking you if you're actually trans? Are they like, Heidi, come on. I know you've been a lesbian your whole life, but are you really a boy and you've just been hiding it and feeling like you can't come out?
Not me specifically, because I'm fairly femme. I'm not super femme, but I'm fairly femme enough to where people don't really ask me that. But they definitely have asked friends of mine. Butch women, it's really sad. Butch women get asked that all the time. Now, butch women get called he and him and get you're a dude now and like all this stuff where it's like they're kind of used to it because it's like it's fine. That's a part of the reality of, presenting as very masculine. But it's also like, no, there's like very proud butch women that are like, I'm a woman, I'm not a man, I don't have any desire to do that, and they do get told that. And and I mean, I get told that as like a joke. You see some stuff like that on Twitter, like
Yeah.
people making snide comments. But I do think it's a problem for butch women because butch women are disappearing. And that's actually a very important part of the lesbian community. There are certain feminine lesbians, especially very feminine lesbians, that are only attracted to butch women. That's just how it is. That's their thing. They only like butch women. And there's a butch femme thing that happens, and butch women tend to be the ones that like take care of like us femmes when like we don't have like anyone else. They like step in. They know how to fix cars, all that good like butch stuff that like that we're losing them because now they consider themselves to be men and not really lesbians, and they're not technically part of the lesbian community. So that is like a big hit, to us because they really were, our foundation of keeping us strong, keeping us safe, and looking out for us. And
What
not that
happened
they
to them?
wouldn't. They're becoming trans men. They're getting transitioned when they're younger and younger. So you will not see. I have rarely seen a young butch woman. I see older butch women. I don't really see young butch lesbians anymore like I used to all the time. You'll notice that they had top surgery. I might still recognize they're female, or they'll use he/him pronouns, and I'll be like, I believe that's a female, but they're now a trans man. So there's fewer and fewer young butch women, which is what a lot of feminine lesbians are telling me. They're like, I like butch women. I have a hard time finding butch women. There's like no butch women. And I'm like, that is just crazy to me. That's just like
And
wild because, yeah,
they wouldn't be interested in somebody who's transitioned to male without doing bottom surgery.
they might. I mean, yeah, there certainly are some women that do that. But the problem is usually the trans men like aren't interested in that. Like it makes them dysphoric to be like, oh, I like women, and I like you. You're a woman, but you're a trans man. But you got, they're not like they don't like to associate with their female parts of themselves as much. So it makes it pretty uncomfortable. But that does happen sometimes. I will say it tends to be more like the kind of bisexual, more free spirit, lesbian kind of adjacent women that will be like, okay, yeah, I'll date trans men, and that does happen. But I don't see it being the same dynamic. It's not really the same dynamic as like two women that are proud to be women and love other women.
Are you a lesbian if you are with a woman or you like, maybe you're attracted to her, you're with her and she transitions to male and does get bottom surgery?
I mean, technically, yes. I mean the I've been looking into the what's it called? It's called fallow, the actual term, but basically they add a phallus, they add and they take skin from other parts of the body.
Right, right.
And I
They
mean
make a
that is,
penis somehow, right? I mean,
yeah, kind of. I mean, it doesn't really function in the exact same way as you could imagine. I mean, it's not going to, be, like a male penis. It's not going to have all the functionality. It's not going to get, erect. Some of them, they can't even. Some can urinate out of it. Some can't. It's very confusing, and like there's so many different. It's very expensive and painful and like a long process. And really, it's mostly to just like have it to like have the feeling of it. It seems like for the trans man to feel like, okay, I feel like more of a man, like I have something in my pants, but it
yeah.
doesn't 100% function in the same way. They might still need to use a strap on or otherwise, to like have actual sexual experience with a woman. So I would say, I mean, to me, that's a tough one, but I would say technically that's still homosexual. So I mean, technically they could still say they're a lesbian, much more than a lesbian with a trans woman, in my opinion. So I'd say, yeah, maybe technically that's tough, but I don't know. It's still homosexual to me. It's still like two of the same sex. Um, yeah, it's bizarre, but I'm sure they would consider themselves straight. Like I've talked to people that are like, I'm. That's weird now. It's like there's like straight, super straight. You know, there's like super straight where you're not into, and there's super gay too. I guess there's like super lesbian then because you'd be like, I'm not into trans men or women, so I'm super lesbian.
No, that makes you a bigot. That's what they're saying, right?
Yeah, same thing. And super straight is the same thing. Guys will be like, I'm super straight. Like, oh, I don't like trans women. I'm super straight. And they're like, okay. And then there's like straight where you're like, I'm straight. Like
Oh,
Blair
geez.
White's boyfriend will say that he's straight. They did a whole video on it where he's like,
He's
I'm
not
straight.
straight. There's no way. There's no
That's
way
what
you're
he says. He
straight.
says, I'm straight. And like, and but the argument would be like he's not super straight though, but he's straight. He's like, I would
Blair
never
still
because
has a penis.
right, I know, but Blair said to him on the video, she's like, "Well, but like you're with me," and like, and he's like, "Yeah," and he's like, she's like, "Well, would you be with like, let's say like a tomboyish, female, or like like a butch female or something?" And he's like, "No way, like no way, like I would never be with like a butch female, like in any way. Like I only like super." Feminine, like I like women, like I like what looks like a woman to me, and Blair's like, okay, and like she's even Blair's kind of like, I don't know, like I mean, like I don't think you're totally straight, buddy, but he says he's
Yeah.
straight.
That doesn't.
Yeah,
No.
yeah,
So
it's
it
so
just
weird.
sounds like we're all confused.
It's very
Um,
weird, and I mean, it's like I don't think this can go on that long though, Kim. I mean, that's like one side of it because I mean, you can't procreate, doing this type of stuff. You can't really like, continue to do this. It has to have an ending point, or like just humanity will cease to exist. Like you have to have like people with like fully functional reproductive parts, whether they're gay, straight, or
right.
whatever. Like you still like have to reproduce in some manner. So you can't keep doing this, but like just messing people's reproductive organs up. It has to have an endpoint, and I just think we're maybe at the peak of it. And all the detransitioners do give me kind of hope that it is kind of going to start to wind down, and people are going to realize they made a massive mistake. And there's going to be a lot of lawsuits. Maybe that'll be part of what stops it. And maybe it'll wrap up at some point. I hope so.
I think this will be looked at as negatively as like gay conversion therapy is
Yeah,
looked at now, where they thought, well, if your kid comes out as gay, you just take them to the doctor and have them try to talk them out of it,
oh
essentially, or
yeah,
do all kinds of terrible
shock
things to,
therapy or
right,
whatever.
right, all these things to kind of just straighten them out, literally. And
Doesn't work.
uh,
Yeah,
right, right. And so I think that they might look back at this time, this era where they were like, oh, there were just all these depressed people or these people that had other issues and or just confused teenagers, just or teenagers just rebelling against their conservative families or
hmm,
teenagers that were talked into this by their hyper liberal mom who wanted to fit, wanted to be different or something and or
yeah,
and it will be looked at in shame, I think, that we have you cannot change your gender. I mean, I am sympathetic and I when I do have trans friends and when I'm around them, I will, for their sake, identify them how they wanna be
hmm,
identified, like, I'm not
sure,
cruel, so
sure.
if and it's social, like, whatever I'm not there to pick a fight with them or anything like that,
No,
that's
yeah,
fine, um, but they're still, even if they're presenting as a woman, wanna be called by a female's name and want to have girls' night, they're still a man. There
yeah,
is no way to change your
no,
gender. You can change the look of your gender of,
sure. You could
your
change your expression, like
right,
this
but you can't
expression of gender.
actually and the extreme of that is, yes, you could cut off your breasts, you could,
Sure.
add like a penis kind of thing, right? You could cut your penis off, I guess. You could do all of those things, but you are not able to change your gender. You just can't.
No,
You can't change your
no.
sex.
No, you can't. You can't. And I mean, that's why like feminists will make a distinction between gender and sex to make that point to be like, well, gender, that's just how you express, your gender. Like I could be a female and be very masculine female and that's totally fine, but I'm still a woman. I'm just a masculine woman, or I could be a man and be a feminine man. But I'm still, just a man. And transsexuals used to agree with that. That's the thing is like that used to be, they used to say, I remember I had a transsexual friend and it was a she, so woman, a trans woman, and she used to say, "Oh, you're a real woman," though. She used to always be like, "Well, you're a real girls, a real," and she would make that distinction all the
Right.
time. But that's not happening anymore. They're just like, "No, I'm a woman," like
Yeah.
and you're like,
In some circles, I
"What?"
should say, because
Yeah,
one
no,
of my
not yeah. There's
the
definitely still old school like
right.
transsexuals and some people that are still like very aware and like well, but I believe that that's becoming more prominent. Yeah.
Yeah, because the trans people that I do know still like they even though they might like to express as the opposite gender, they still do identify themselves as their actual biological sex.
Are they older?
They are older, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there is definitely a generational thing because there's like transgenderism, I think, is different than transsexualism, just in my experience. I mean, you have now non-binary, right? Where you're just like, I'm non-binary and just call me they, them. And like, so
Mhm.
I'm not a, I could say that today and just be like, yeah, I'm non-binary now. Call me they, them.
I'm not
And I'm
gonna
not a
do that.
woman.
I'm not
I'm
gonna
not a
do
woman
that to
anymore.
anybody anymore. I
But
stopped doing that,
yeah,
now I will not at risk of being called a bigot, but it is what it is, like, I will respect if you wanna change your name, I think that's totally fine. I don't think
yeah,
like, it's cultural what we think is a male or female name anyway, and it's like if an alien landed on Earth, an alien would have to be taught what is a male name and what is a female name, like, a name is just a name to me, so I don't really
yeah.
care about that. But if you're a guy, yeah, I don't care if you wanna be called Diana, like, you're still a guy, and I'm not going to she, her, them. I'm going to
Right.
he, him, them.
Yeah, and it's also just it's kind of passing is important. Like the trans movement will say like, "Oh, it's not important to pass or whatever. You just have to respect people's preferred pronouns." And I'm like, "But it is important. Like if somebody looks like very female and I'm just passing them by or I'm like, I'm referring to them for some reason. Oh yeah, she's over there or something like or whatever. Oh yeah, move over for her like in the bathroom, something like that. Then that's just because they pass to me and that's just like how you interact socially with
I
the
guess
world,
that's fair enough
right?
because, like, with Blair, I do still refer to her as a her because she presents as so well as a her.
Right,
It's
so
odd
passing
to
kinda
me.
is important, like, I mean, it
Right.
sounds, like, mean because it's, like it's almost saying, like, "Well, if you're more attractive," but it's not really about attractive, it's just really about, like, passing because I've seen, like, unattractive trans people, but they do kind of pass, so if you just see them, you might be like, "Oh, yeah, that's a man, that's a woman," if just, in passing without, analyzing them, and I think that that's important because the whole point of being trans used to be to pass. It used to be to pass, like, that was the whole thing, and you didn't want attention on it, and now it's become it's all about me and I'm trans and look at me like I'm trans
Yeah.
and I'm like that's
And
almost
you
like
have
being
to identify me as the
right,
pronoun that I tell you,
right, I tell you.
otherwise you're in trouble. And it's
Very
like, how am I
authoritarian.
supposed to know?
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Kim Iverson Show. That's right, this is just a clip. If you want the whole show, you can go to kimiversonshow.com. There is a full live show that airs 1 hour every Monday through Friday at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. That is where this clip is from. Watch the entire show, watch the whole interview. Again, go to kimiversonshow.com. It's totally free to watch. That link will redirect you someplace that I can't talk about here on YouTube because of censorship. So just click the link or go to kimiversonshow.com. That'll reroute you to where this show is every Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. See you there. Otherwise, thanks for watching this clip. Have a great one.